going from I don't think marriage is for me to 1 year of being married, and you can actually be right in the center of God's will, but you're not at peace with being in the center of God's will. Hi, my name is Adeze. I'm an entrepreneurial content creator in Lagos, Nigeria, and I am a vibe, hence Adeze Vibes. Join me as I share my journey and lessons on growing and glowing in life and growing with God. Please hit that subscribe button and turn on your post notifications so you do not miss any post from me. It's about to be a party up in here, baby. Keep watching and enjoy. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, you're welcome. Welcome to the party. So I have been away and now it's YouTube time. It's go time. Grab yourself a bottle of water, wine, or if you're like me and you like coffee, get yourself a cup of coffee. Let's just get straight into it. The last video I put out was I think it was prepping for my wedding, and the plan was to put up all the other vlogs around my wedding and all of that, but I never got to it because man, life really just got crazy. Since then, I did get married and then I fledged fully into this thing called marriage. I used to say marriage is not for me. Like, even if I got married, I used to see myself getting married maybe in my 30s. Like, it wasn't something that was in front of me that I wanted to do, that I was enthusiastic about or praying about. It wasn't. Like, I really wasn't looking to get married. So I don't really know how I ended up. I used to say that before I even marry anybody, I must have dated you for 2 years at least to be sure, because I'm not going to marry weary by mistake. So in less than a year and a half, I had met, courted, engaged, and gotten married to my husband. I shocked myself. I shocked my friends. Like, it's my 1 year wedding anniversary this weekend. Today is August, I believe, 3rd. Our wedding anniversary is August 7th. That's in a couple of days, and I quite literally cannot believe I've been married. I am married, and I've been married for a year. A lot of times I don't feel married, which is a good thing because I had a lot of fears around getting married. I used to see people that got married and their lives will completely just take a whole other direction. It's almost like you get married and you become a whole different person. And that was a fear for me. Like, I didn't want to lose myself. I didn't want to feel like I'm now this whole Mrs. Madame. This one, I don't know, it just wasn't, that's not my vibe. I don't know how I got here, but I'm going to share with you guys my very unconventional journey of going from I don't think marriage is for me to 1 year of being married and loving it for the most part. We're going to rewind all the way back to 2019. Now, 2019 was a very crazy year, to say the least. When I think about it now, I'm just like, God, you are far too kind. You showed me so much mercy. I was fully single for the whole of 2019. I'd gotten out of a relationship where my ex cheated on me in 2018, I think. Was it 2018? I can't remember. But yeah, I wasn't heartbroken or anything. Like, it's not like I was nursing a heartbreak or anything like that. But I was just in this mindset of, my dear, single, free, and happy. Nobody should come near me. And I had the mindset that the next person I date, I would marry. Even if at the same time I was still thinking, oh, marriage is not for me. So it wasn't something, I wasn't looking for a relationship. I wasn't thinking of anything like that. I had just finished school, university. One of my elder brothers was starting to talk to me about marriage. Like, oh, I think it's time for you to get married. I don't think you need to, waste any time, blah, blah. First of all, there's nobody in my life. So, where do you want the husband to come from? Second of all, I'm not looking to get married, son. Why are you talking to me about marriage? And the guy was serious because he was bringing suitors up and down. It was not a joke. Fast forward to December 2019, an ex, or rather actually who I would consider my first love, came back into my life in a way. So he doesn't live in the country, so he came to Nigeria and we saw, it's just like old flames, like the first person you really have that kind of connection with, it could easily be ignited. So he came back and he was talking about us just actually putting an effort, even if it's long distance, let's actually try to make it work. It was a comfort zone. Like, he's somebody I know, he's a good person, let's actually see how it goes. We weren't dating or nothing, but we spent some time together in that December period. And so I remember going into 2020 just feeling like this is a fresh year for me, this is a fresh start for me. I like New Year's. I'm one of those people that is very big on, okay, new year, new me. And 2020 was quite literally that for me. In 2020, I was determined. I'm like, God, you need to help me. I don't want the things that happened in 2019 to repeat themselves in this year. I just want to grow from there. I want to be better. I want to really align myself to you. Like, help me. That was my 2019 ending prayer. Now, I started talking to my husband on January 3rd, 2020. How did I meet him? My brother, this same brother. So this was one of the suitors that he was sending my way. Remember, I sent me a picture. Like, this was from a good family. He was friends with his sister. So I sent him a picture. Baby boy was looking cute, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, oh yeah, I'll just give him what's my own. He just seemed like a decent person. So let's talk. What's the harm in talking? January 3rd, he called me. We had like a very long conversation that day. First time we were talking, it felt like we had known each other forever. We ended up spending at least 3 to 4 hours on the phone just talking. And the thing that struck me about him was how very open he was. Like from the get-go, my husband was an open book. Like there were no questions, there were no guesses. He was open about things that men are usually not open about, especially from the get-go. He was very open with his opinions. He wasn't trying to shelter any opinion he had. He wasn't seeking my approval. This struck me because I'm used to men just pandering to me. It was a very refreshing conversation. After the conversation, I was feeling like, could it be? Imagine from day one, could it be? And so was he. But anyways, we'll do a video about that together. So I met this guy and we had started talking. Now this was January. I remember I went back to Abuja, and of course remember that my ex was still in question. And at this point I was very confused. I had these 2 people that I was taking because they were others. Oh my god. I just remembered one guy. I'm so sorry. I don't want to call your name, but I'm really sorry. Like he tried. But I hope that you find a really good wife. I mean, I was caught in crossroads. I remember my brother asking me, so how is the conversation going? How is it going? I'm like, oh, he's cool. I like him. But then I also told him that, oh, there's this other guy, which was my ex. So I was having this conversation with my ex. In my peak of confusion, he told me that he doesn't believe in God anymore. To me, that was red flags. Not because I'm trying to be judgmental of you, but for me, it is a value that is very important. Like, I cannot be with you if you don't believe in the God that is the center of my life. So the moment he said that, I didn't know it at the time, but it literally cancelled him from my mind. I kept praying for him like, God, consider this person. No, he cannot not believe in you. Make him believe. Show him that you are God. Because God be God. I prayed a lot for him. But I also knew that I wasn't even going to attempt to date you if you didn't believe in God, because like it's at the center of a lot of my conversations. How we go do them? How we go run now? So after a while, that one kind of fizzled out and Uche became the main character. And things moved pretty fast. I never actually met him until much later in the year. We eventually met. He was what he was on the phone. He was everything that he was. So like, this fresh new relationship, butterflies, happiness, joy, all of that. And so of course, COVID happened. I'd moved to Lagos at this point. But obviously we couldn't see each other so much because COVID restricted movements. And I remember I had so many like I was experiencing an emotional roller coaster during that whole period of time. I was trying to get to know God all over again, not because I didn't know him, but I realized I had a lot of head knowledge about God and not a lot of heart knowledge. 2020 and 2021 actually were very disruptive. Nothing was going according to my plan. Nothing, absolutely. It's like God said, you are deceiving yourself. You cannot be trusting your own plans. So I kept asking myself questions like, is this life? Like, is this all God? Like, you just come into life, struggle to make different things work. Like, what is the point of all this life? So I had a lot of existential questions in 2020. It was the beginning of my new journey with God. Now I was dating this guy, he was great, he was cool and all of that. Honestly, had one major concern. One of the things that I wanted for myself, marriage-wise, was that I wanted to marry a very, very rich man. Like, Dangote levels. Okay, Dangote is an old man, but like, you get what I'm saying? Like, where's the dollars? Where is the dollars? That was one of the things I wanted. I feel like it was everything else apart from that. But it's not something I ever expressed or had a conversation with him about. I'm very realistic, I'm very understanding. So it wasn't a thing of, even if I had a conversation with him about it, I felt like it would only make him feel like insecure. I don't even think, this is probably, if he watches this video, it's probably the first time he's knowing the way that I was feeling in that time. It was a drag because I was like, God, like, thank you for this gift of Uche, but like, how far this path? How far? Are you gonna do a miracle so he becomes a billionaire in 3 months? Funny, the opposite was happening because it was the pandemic. his businesses were suffering, crashing. I don't even know. It was literally like the opposite of what I was wanting was going on with him. Oh Jesus. So honestly, that was my major concern. Like, he wasn't as rich as I would have liked him to be. I didn't want to ever have to worry about money in my life, which is legitimate. Is a fair. It's not a bad thing that you want money or you want to marry a rich man. But the one thing I realized is that people have now turned to idolizing money these days. Like, the first thing that somebody's going to ask, does he have money? What do you want in a guy? First of all, does he have money? I remember I prayed a lot about Uche. I like, God, is this your will for me? Is this what you would have me do? That's one thing for me. I just always I wanted to be in the perfect will of God. I didn't want to do anything that would disrupt my life, because obviously he was talking about marriage. He wasn't dating me because he wanted to date. The moment he started dating, somewhere in my heart, I knew that this was the person. So fast forward to us getting engaged. Engagement was really cool. Like, he put in effort, and that's the thing. That was like a recurring thing. Uche always put in a lot of effort. Like, the times that I was going to see him, because it was COVID time, like, he would come and pick me up from home, take me to his house, and when I get there, he has already cooked. Oh God, I love my husband's cooking. Like, oh my God. At this point, however, I still wasn't at rest for the same reasons. After we got engaged, I think that was when some challenges started happening. I lost my engagement ring a while after, maybe 1 month after the engagement. He reacted in a way that I didn't expect. He was really upset for a good number of days. He wasn't quite talking to me. And I remember thinking, like, is this how I'm going to do? Just because I lost small ring. To me, it wasn't a big deal. To him, it was a big deal. So that was one of our first major personality differences that I remember. He remembers one that I didn't remember when I asked him. Anyways. But yeah, and I remember thinking, hi, this is how you react. Like, me, they don't used to treat me like that too. You cannot be telling me you are processing. If I do something, forgive me, sharp, immediately. That's what I expected, and that's not what was happening. So I was like, what's this? Hey. And then through the wedding planning process, there were just some tensions here and there. So basically, from even up until I got engaged, even up until we started planning this wedding, I couldn't say that I was at peace with my decision. I started praying, like, God, I need you to give me peace about this. If this is not your will, cancel it. I was praying very radical, intentional prayers, like, God, break up this relationship. If this is not your will, even if God had told me this is what I want for you before, I was now praying, if this is not your will, break it up, it. Let it fall and die. Well, yes, I feel like these are very important prayers for you to pray, because even after you're engaged, if it's not the will of God, if it's not working out, you better cut it off before you enter one chance. It's never too late. So I kind of knew that I was doing what God would have me do, but I wasn't at peace with it. So thinking about it now, I'm just like you can actually be right in the center of God's will, but you're not at peace with being in the center of God's will. Not because God has not given you peace, but because you're not focused on God. Your eyes are still looking at what is going on around you, your own personal feelings and emotions, what you want, etc. Those are some of the things that can take away your peace. So sometimes you hear people say, oh, if you're doing what God will have you do, then you will have a certain peace. I really don't think so. Sometimes if you're very fully focused on God, yes, you're going to have peace of mind about it. If your eyes are single-eyed and if you're only looking at what God is saying. But we are living in a world where there are 1,001 distractions, in a world where there are plenty of things that oppose you, where life is lifing. In an ideal world, the world is moving along with what you want. It's plain, everything is happening because this is what God has said is going to be smooth sailing. The journey is going to be just smooth, no concerns, everything, the world will just align automatically to make it pretty and nice for you, but that's not the truth. Remember when we started planning the wedding, we drew up the budget, tried to create a budget of everything that we were doing, and it came up to an amount that if you shake me like this and shake my husband like this, that money will still not come out. So I remember thinking, God, if this man was rich like this, I will not even be thinking, do you understand? Like, Jesus. We actually wanted a small way, something intimate where everybody knew everybody. But did that happen? I guess you'll find out in the coming vlogs. As at the time of drawing the budget, the money was not available. But we honestly just carried on. By the time the wedding had come, we realized we spent even way more than the budget. And somehow we had the money to pay for everything. We did not owe a single soul. We did not owe anybody. In fact, just after the wedding, a few days later, we paid our rent, which was also another millions. People were gifting us money. Somebody would just say, oh, sending you 1 million naira, sending you 500k, sending you 600k, sending you 800k. My family graciously handled like the trad. So that took that burden off us, even if we still had to pay for a few things at least. Or even just the white was still humongous and we still didn't have it. God used people to just help us, support us, sending us humongous amounts of money that I don't know. Even in that period, like I made money that I hadn't made before yet again. Like I would get jobs and mention like, oh, how much are you charging? I'll just mention the money and the person would just agree. So basically, provision came. God sponsored that wedding fully. Like it was an amazing time. We did everything we wanted to do, all that we wanted to have. Like we didn't have to compromise. I say this all the time that getting married was my biggest act of faith. This is what I want in some ways, but like there's this part that is missing, and I know that this is your will for me, so I surrender. Just take over. And a lot of times when I was praying, it's not because I wasn't feeling that way. I still had questions like, is God really in control? Is this thing what I want to do? But I remember when genuine peace came to my heart, and it was probably less than a week to my wedding. I had already traveled to Asaba because our wedding was in Asaba. At this point, my dad had passed on earlier in the year, 2021. And I was sitting in his room. He has a balcony outside, and I was sitting there. And I remembered something that my mom had said during counseling. My mom's a marriage counselor, and she actually did counseling for us as well. She read a scripture, I can't remember right now, but paraphrasing, it was basically like, God is in all the details of your marriage, in the tiny details of your marriage. I remember sitting on a balcony and I was just thinking, and I was just overwhelmed with this sense of just gratitude to God. And it's like God opened my eyes and I just started to see how He was in all the details of this union. In how we met, He was in the details of it. You know, my dad just being so accepting of my husband. After my husband and his dad came, my dad passed on less than a week later. It was almost like, okay, I've met you, I've met your father. And my dad had actually specifically requested that they come. And I have 6 elder brothers, and I always felt that whoever I'm going to marry, you're going to have to jump through a lot of hoops. You have a lot of approval to seek. But even in the way that we met, like God orchestrated it that I literally met him through my brother, who is somebody that my parents trust his opinion. Do you get? So it wasn't difficult. He met my eldest brother as well. It wasn't I don't know how to explain it. It was just way smoother than it would have been in just clicking from our first conversation. God was there. In the engagement, God was there. In the planning of the wedding, in the provision of everything that we needed, God was there. God literally opened my eyes to see how He was orchestrating, planning, prodding, putting this whole relationship and this whole marriage together. And I was just overwhelmed with a sense of gratitude and peace. Like that's when the peace, because at that point my eyes opened and I could only see God. I wasn't concerned about all the other concerns that I had. I remember bawling my eyes out, just out of gratitude, just praying and just thanking God, like, God, are you not too good like this? Thank you. I'm so sorry that I haven't been this grateful. I'm so sorry that I've been so worried about things that I don't have to worry about, because you're really caring for me. I remember God just assuring me, see, your husband is not the provider. I am the provider. Have I not shown you that I am the provider? Have I not shown you that you don't lack anything? Have I not shown you that anything that you desire in this life, it is yours already? I own the universe, and therefore the universe belongs to you. I love you specially. You are my child. You can have anything you want. It's not about how much is inside your bank account. It is for you to know that I, the Lord your God, is the one who supplies all your needs according to His riches in glory by Christ Jesus. I was just overwhelmed with a peace and a knowledge of the fact that this is God, this is His desire, and I'm going for it. And I just like, God, thank you. That's when I actually really surrendered my worries and my concerns and looking at whatever I thought, in my turmoil. I remember one day I was talking to God in the toilet about, toilet is like my thinking place. I was like, God, I don't know, like I'm really concerned about this thing. And the Holy Spirit reminded me, remember you once told me, you once said that you would never allow money to be the reason why you make any decision in your life. Remember that you once told me that you wouldn't care, like money would not influence your decisions, that you will only do what I tell you to do. In that moment, I really did remember that. I remember making a vow to myself, like I would never let money control me. I will never let money be the reason for my making a decision or not making a decision. Money is a tool and you're meant to control it. It's not meant to control you. I just remembered all of that and I'm just like, wait, like it's literally the devil whispering in my ear saying, oh, money this, money that, trying to put my eyes and trying to make God. Because when you allow money to decide for you, it's literally you saying money is my God. Whether it is in picking a spouse, whether it is in picking a job, whether it is in, I don't know, whatever it is, if money becomes your sole reason for doing that, you're now glorifying mammon. You're not glorifying God. I'm so grateful because, like, in that whole pandemic period, guys, let me tell you, I started meeting rich men. I was suddenly surrounded by people who had shitloads of money. I remember one day, like, one guy, I had mentioned that my laptop was bad. I needed to change the screen. And this guy just sent me a new laptop, a new iPhone, AirPods, everything, like the whole Apple set. I didn't take it. I turned it back, which I don't know where I found the strength to do that. You know, it was God. It was all just God. Money was just flashing in my face, and the devil was amplifying it. See money, see money, see money, see money, see money everywhere. I'm just so glad that that God was able to help me to do His will for my life. And today I'm really grateful for it because, like I said, marriage was my biggest act of faith. It was like me handing my life over to God. And after I got married, it opened me up into a whole new aspect of my relationship with God. A lot of times, people think that when you're walking in the will of God, that means that everything is going to be smooth. No, 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 no. It's a learning process. It is going to be filled with challenges because the only way that you can be elevated, even in like normal school, you're going to school, you're going to go to the next class, you're going to have to go through tests. You're going to have to go through tests and you're going to have to pass them. And that's what marriage was for me. I feel like my marriage became a training ground. It became a place where God accelerated my growth as a human being in like things that I would have taken me, if I wasn't married, maybe it would have taken me 2, 3, 4, 5 years to learn. It started happening like sharp. I started building my business. I had so much like support from my husband. I had so much, the things that I was scared of, that, oh, maybe my freedom will just reduce, I have to be this whole different person. None of that. I just found that I was very free. My life really didn't change much in that terms. Like I had married somebody who allowed me the freedom to be. And that's one thing that I'm really so grateful for my husband. Like, you know, in that way, you know, they stress me. It still they stress my brain in some things, but at least in the things that are most important to me, which is freedom. Freedom is my most important desire. Like, I don't want to be limited. I just want to be free to fly. And that's what I have. Like, God literally knew what He was doing. I didn't just see it at the time. So my marriage has been my biggest blessing up till now. And that doesn't mean that it is smooth sailing, but it's a very worthwhile journey. It's very rewarding. It is quite literally what I needed but didn't know. It was a major disruption in my life. It wasn't in the plan. It was not in my plan. It's not the direction I had in mind. A lot of times, the things that God will have you do are not things that are very comfortable, because you don't grow from a place of comfort. Comfort is what keeps you at the same place that you've always been. Disruption is what grows you. In fact, my marriage, I sometimes relate it to very much like an Abrahamic journey, where God said to Abraham, rise up and go to a place where I will lead you. Because I didn't know what to expect of this whole marriage situation. I had my fears. It was like literally going into a ground that I wasn't prepared for, that I didn't quite want at the time that it was happening. It's very much a walk of faith, and the faith is paying off. My mind has shifted in a way that I'm not expecting you to meet all my needs, but all my expectation is on God. And that's the one person that never fails. At the end of the day, we are His child, we are His children, so He has to take care of us. You get me? Everything that I thought I was worried about is not a concern anymore. Like, God is just taking me on this journey of growing and of building. One day God said to me that, I know that you wanted to marry somebody who was Dangote. If you had married somebody like that, you would have become too complacent. You would have become too comfortable. You would not have pushed to build everything that I had committed to your hands to build. I needed you to go through this building process. I needed you to journey and build so that you would understand and learn certain things in the process. Because in my life, I've been very comfortable. I grew up having everything that I wanted. I never really had to struggle for things. And even till now, to be honest, it's just that my mind has now shifted from somebody is going to give me everything I want to God is going to give me everything. So it has built my life. It has built my faith. It has built my capacity. I'm making more money than I've ever made in my life. All the things that I was worried about was very stupid, because God had already gone ahead to take care of it. I'm just amazed at God's goodness, God's hand. It's amazing to know that God already orchestrated my life story. It's an amazing thing to know that I'm right in the center of His will. I'm so grateful for that disruption. And I'm so grateful that it was just an avenue for him to align me completely to his will, to what he had for me in this life. It's been 1 year so far, and it has been a ride, you know. I found that like the past 1 year has also been very, it's almost like God was isolating me in a way, like separating me out. He disrupted my life, and then he still disrupted it again by like just bringing me out of a lot of the company I was in. After my wedding, I lost a lot of friends, people I didn't think would ever not be in my life, and are currently now not in my life. I still feel like I'm in a season of sort of isolation, but like God is now just beginning to plant me into new relationships, new communities. But yeah, I think this is where I'm going to stop this video. What did you learn? What did you see? Like, what can you relate to? Leave it in the comments. Be sure to subscribe to this video, share it to anybody that I think might find it useful. The next couple of videos on this channel are going to be my wedding. Subscribe, turn on that post notification, baby. Oh, bye.